I can't stand quiet. Hi everybody, good morning. My name is Suman Roy and I'm visiting from Toronto, Canada. Please pardon the whole mix-up of the graphic up there. That's the tech-savvy me who's here. I'm glad you guys had your coffee because what I'm going to do is very different from most of the presentations you've seen. I'm here to tell you a story. I'm not a researcher, I'm not a professor, I'm not a doctorate. I'm just a storyteller. And I'm going to tell you the story of this small organization named Feed Scarborough. So Scarborough is often forgotten part of Toronto. And we say that because it is being demonstrated over time that we are often left out on many decisions. We were never a part of Toronto before, we were amalgamated into Toronto, but often we keep getting forgotten. So Feed Scarborough was started literally in my backyard. Think about the beginning of pandemic. You're all from different parts of the world. In Canada, Toronto, I'll never forget the date, 15th of March, the whole country was shutting down. And so was our small little suburb of Toronto. Everything was shutting down, including our only food bank. What many of you would do, I thought this exact same thing. You know what, pandemic is only for 14 days, the curve will be flattened, we'll be back to normal in 14 days. So for 14 days, we can probably help our community. So we started a small delivery of food services from my backyard, getting to the people who needed the most. We put up a call out, and within less than 24 hours, we had over 1,000 people reach out to us asking for food. And this is Canada we are talking about. So we figured out we need to get our colleagues, our friends, our community members, and we need to do what we need to do. In 1970s, in Canada, the government of Canada announced food as a basic human right. In the 80s, in Canada, they started something called food banks as a very temporary solution. And here we are in 2020, people desperately asking and needing food that they need help with. So think about that overall. However, one thing as Feed Scarborough, and personally I strongly believed in, that if we continue giving just the food when people need, we're going to put this band-aid that's going on from 1980s, and 30 years later I'll be still at this conference talking about let's give food to the hungry. We will never find a solution by giving just food. So in Feed Scarborough, we determined that we need 3 different layers of programming. The programming that, one, we have to stop the bleeding today. So there is a need for Band-Aid. However, if we stop that, it is never going to solve. So we go to the next level, which is more of long-term support, long-term programming, where the community members can actually, those who are able to, find a way to sustain themselves, so they don't need to come to food banks. And the third and last level is more on policy and advocacy. Together, we feel that if all 3 levels work together, then we will have a hunger-free, resilient Scarborough is what I call, but once again, hunger-free, resilient Canada and overall. So that is our main model. Just for everybody to know, this PowerPoint presentation will be our website by this evening, so you can have access to the whole thing if you need. So when we were working on this, my team at Feed Scarborough said, if you keep talking, people will fall asleep, and you just won't shut up. So they said, you need some help. So they gave me some help, so I'm not talking by myself. So I'm going to play a short video that they created.
Introducing Jacob, a Scarborough resident feeling the brunt of the pandemic's impact. As the sole breadwinner, he loses his job, and with no opportunities in sight, bills pile up. His stark reality unfolds in his small apartment, echoing the weight of his struggles in the silent room. In his Scarborough apartment, Jacob faces bare cupboards and an empty fridge. The reality of no food hits hard, prompting him to realize the urgent need for a solution. As Jacob's stomach growled in hunger, he trudged through the desolate streets, his once confident stride now weighed down by the burden of unemployment and empty pockets, desperately seeking solace at the local food bank. With the sinking feeling in his chest, Jacob's heart dropped as he approached the food bank, only to find the doors firmly shut, a cruel reminder of his dwindling options and the harsh reality of his circumstances. Suman Roy, a compassionate community member, feels a heavy heart hearing about his neighbor's hardships. Fueled by empathy, he takes quick action, calling community members and passionately brainstorming solutions. Driven by determination, he turns to social media, posting a heartfelt message that becomes a powerful call for unity against hunger in Scarborough. The call for help resonates deeply, reaching a staggering 1,000 locals in need. In response, a diverse group of compassionate community members comes together, recognizing the urgency of the situation. United by a shared commitment, they seek a solution to the growing crisis. Fueled by a common purpose, this dedicated group envisions a practical solution, a charity organization that will deliver food hampers directly to those in need. The community unites in action, turning a shared vision into reality. Suman Roy, content and proud, oversees the bustling scene of the team packing food hampers for their neighbors in need. Tablets and phones buzz with activity as the team coordinates with volunteer drivers, ensuring a smooth operation to deliver the hampers directly to the doorsteps of those who need them. With a sense of purpose, the community organization officially adopts its name, Feed Scarborough. Faced with increasing demand, Feed Scarborough moves operations to a dedicated warehouse. Shelves are filled with essentials, transforming the space into a hub of hope for the community. Innovating to serve their community better, Feed Scarborough introduces a grocery-style food bank. Here, individuals can choose the food they need, fostering a sense of choice and dignity in times of hardship. Jacob finds himself at the forefront of a transformative moment. From the comfort of his home, he navigates the digital aisles of Feed Scarborough's online food bank, a revolutionary concept in Canada. The virtual journey brings a sense of empowerment and dignity to Jacob's fingertips. Jacob, once navigating the challenges of daily life, now finds a newfound confidence through Feed Scarborough's support. With access to dignified food assistance, he sees an opportunity for lasting impact, not just for himself, but for his family as well. Eager to expand the horizons of positive change, Jacob delves into the many programs offered by Feed Scarborough. In the kitchen, he acquires culinary skills, empowering himself to lead a healthier lifestyle and support his family through nourishing meals. A pivotal moment unfolds as Jacob, now fortified with newfound knowledge, brings his son, Sam, to an at-risk youth program. Here, Sam not only builds confidence, but also embarks on a journey of leadership development. Recognizing the diverse needs of his family, Jacob takes his mother to a senior gardening program. Amidst the greenery, she discovers joy and purpose, tending to her own small plot. Buoyed by the support and programs of Feed Scarborough, Jacob stands with newfound confidence. Energized and ready for the next chapter, he eagerly immerses himself in career readiness sessions, determined to re-enter the workforce. Jacob, determined to resume his career, receives the required vaccine doses at a Feed Scarborough clinic, a testament to the organization's dedication to community well-being. Jacob was thrilled to land a job, a moment filled with pride. However, joy turned to reality when he realized the minimum wage couldn't sustain his family. After rent and utilities bill, only $6.67 remained in his pocket each day for food, travel, and clothing for the family. Faced with the challenge, he reluctantly acknowledged the ongoing need for food bank support. Observing that around 35% of Feed Scarborough's clients were holding full-time jobs yet struggled to make ends meet, Suman and the team recognized the broader issue at hand. Fueled by a commitment to bring about change, they embarked on an advocacy journey. Taking the cause to all levels of government, they engaged in discussions about the rising cost of living and its impact on individuals and families. Feed Scarborough recognizes Jacob's potential and resilience, providing him with an opportunity to start his own business. Encouraged by their support, Jacob enrolls in a business incubator, undergoing 6 months of comprehensive training. Focused and determined, he crafts a plan to open his dream restaurant. 6 months later, Jacob successfully realizes his dream, showcasing the transformative impact of Feed Scarborough's support. Their assistance not only addresses immediate needs, but also opens doors to lasting empowerment and fulfillment for individuals like Jacob within the community. In front of his newly opened restaurant, Jacob stands with his family, embraced by Suman and the Feed Scarborough team. The vibrancy of the sign illuminates not just a business, but a symbol of resilience and unity. The community gathers, celebrating not only the restaurant's opening, but the journey that led here. Jacob radiates confidence and gratitude, a testament to Feed Scarborough's unwavering support. Amidst laughter and cheers, Jacob acknowledges, this success is ours. Together, we've turned dreams into reality. In that moment, the restaurant becomes more than a business. It's a beacon of empowerment, a community united in creating lasting impact.
Okay, so that was in short the story of Feed Scarborough. It is how we started and our philosophy and how it goes. We have a very simple vision, a hunger-free, resilient Scarborough. That is all we are looking for, and our goal is by 2030 we are going to achieve that. Why 2030? Can anybody relate 2030 to anything? SDGs, the UN SDGs, and we're going to talk about it towards the end of the presentation, how each and every program is aligned with one or more of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So I know the UN SDGs were originally created for developing countries, but especially what's happening in countries like Canada, we see that there is nothing short of the need that many of the developing countries are facing. So we have aligned ourselves that way. So just to go very quickly over the programs, once again, the official paper that we submitted has a lot more details of the programs and how they are connected. They will be all available on our website later on today. So our food banks, I hate the term food banks. We call it our free community grocery store, because that's what it is. People come in, those who need, they choose just like anybody would do. And as I mentioned yesterday in our group discussion, that is, when I immigrated to Canada 23 years ago, I literally immigrated there with a suitcase of clothes and nothing more. I stayed on the streets. I went to my first food bank 23 years ago. And when I went into the food bank, I was given a bag of food. I was hungry. I came out, opened it, and I saw a box of bread. I opened it and I wanted to eat it because I was hungry. But when I took it in my hand, I realized if I try to chew it, I'll break my teeth. So though I was hungry, I took that box of food, I threw it in the garbage. Today I know it's called Kraft stuffing. But at that time I had no idea what stuffing was. I came from India, that stuffing was not in my culture, so it wasn't bad food, it was just that I had no idea. It was somebody else was telling me what I should eat, just because I didn't have money. So the whole idea of food banks giving out hampers is not something that personally I support, and our program was all based on more right and dignity given to our clients. One thing that I'm going to mention here is when you're working in the environment of hunger, in the environment of poverty, it can be very depressing for all our volunteers, for all our staff, and also for our guests who come to our space. So in Feed Scarborough, we tried to make it as welcoming and as fun as possible. You see my branding I'm wearing right now, the t-shirt. We sell these t-shirts to everybody, every corporate groups. That's how we generate some revenues. But also, you see this raccoon that is sitting right here. That's our mascot. We actually have a really big mascot costume. Whichever young student comes to do internship with us, we get them wear those and jump around. But it's also kind of funny because now it is not as depressing a place it is. we see a lot of children coming into food banks. They are not coming in sad that it's a very depressing place where we're going to go and get some food, and because we are poor, we have to go there. This is fun. All our food banks have a children's library where they get books that they sit there and read, but also take home. They don't have to return it if they don't want it. So it is about being a more welcoming place. It's not that we want to make food banks a household name. That is not the idea at all. But the idea of it is it's a right that anybody living in Canada has. So if it is a right, it needs to be treated as a right, not as a charity. So that is the whole model. And right now I wanted to bring it here, but I could not because our publisher did not give me the books on time. We are doing children's books with Dignity, who's our raccoon, because if anybody knows Toronto, Toronto is full of raccoons. It's a part of Toronto. You can't even hit them. It's illegal. But so Dignity, which is raccoon, is also very resilient. And that is why that's our mascot. It's a children's book on with the raccoon talking about food security and hunger in the community. So we do a lot of these kind of stuff that we actually want to make have the conversations in a very systemic way. The other thing that we saw, that at least 30% of our clients coming into food banks have at least one full-time job. So there was a time when if you had a job, you had enough money. That's not the case anymore. With rent skyrocketing, people after paying rent and cost of living, they do not have money for food, they do not have money for clothing. It's unfortunate. So our food banks, at least 2 of them, are open 5 days a week and full 8-hour days. So when people have a job, they can still come to a food bank and can access food. And this is something that we originally created, our online food bank, which we created out of the need of, in the beginning of COVID, the second wave primarily, we don't want too many people coming into the food bank. How can we get the food outside the food bank so they can order online, just like those who know Walmart or any of them had the online ordering system in the early days of pandemic. So we created that. People can order online, they just come 30 seconds outside, tell their name, pick up their food and go. They still have their choice, they still have their dignity, all of it. However, what we saw was very different. What we realized that statistically in Canada, we know that only 25% of people who really do not have access to food or food insecure actually goes to a food bank. 75% of people suffer quietly. And a lot of it is because of dignity. They would never want to be seen standing in line of a food bank. They'd rather go to bed hungry. So what this did, the online food bank, actually helped them to get access to support because they did not need to come and stand in line to grab food. They could order quietly online. In many cases, we saw that small community organizations, they would come and pick for 10 or 12 families and drop it off at their doors. So they just didn't need to come, so they had a better access to food. Healthy meals. Now, this one was really interesting because when we were giving out food, there's a few people who came to us who do not have a fixed address. We call them homeless in a very normal language. That, okay, you're giving packaged foods. We have no way to cook it. Can we get some food? So we said, okay, we took the church basement kitchen and we said, okay, we're going to make, and we started off with around 30 meals a week. Handful of people, we're going to give them. That program now, in a little over 3 years, we serve 2,000 meals a week. That number has grown so much. Vaccine. Now this was really interesting because we pride ourselves as a food security organization. And we got a lot of conversations in the community saying, what are you doing giving out vaccines for COVID? You're a food security organization. Now the reality is, in Canada, we saw a lot of legislation in the early days of pandemic where you could not go to work if you don't have vaccine. A lot of regulations were put up. So for us to have, for our clients to have access to vaccines on a very easy basis, actually helped them to get back to their work, to get back to their lives. So it was very important for us to have vaccine clinics. We did over 100. We vaccinated over 7,000 people in different stages. The school hamper program. Now this one was really interesting. I was at one of the schools and I was talking to a class, and the class of kindergarten kids. And this was very early days of pandemic, when the schools were on and off in Canada. They would open for a couple of weeks and they would shut it down again, they would open again. And one of the kids in the class, and the teacher was talking and I was talking, and the kid raised the hand and said, "Today is the best day of my life." And which of course the teacher was, "Okay, why, what's happening?" He said, "Finally I can get some food because my parents are going to go to the food bank." Now that says a lot. That says as a society we have failed. When a kindergarten kid is excited because they're going to finally get some food. So we started food hamper programs in school. We wanted to reach out where the people, the principals, they generally know which families need that extra support. So we leverage that and to actually have food available. Now we have taken this program in a slightly different level as well. In high schools, we have taken small spaces in the school and made food pantries where there are box food on the shelves. Any kid can go and grab whatever they need. There is not much stigma because a lot of kids take it just for fun, which is fine because they're taking and they're eating that box of cereal, maybe in their lunch because they can afford to bring food from home. So we have seen a lot of that. One of my very favorite program is the police hamper program. Now this was really interesting because in the beginning of pandemic, we were figuring out how can we get food to people using the existing channels that's out there. The police is always in their cruisers driving around. They are meeting people who are very vulnerable in a lot of cases. So why can't we use that infrastructure and get food to people who needs the most? So we made a deal with the police. The police officers come to our warehouse, pack small hampers of easy to eat, no cooking food, and they put it in every cruiser in our community. When they see somebody in distress, instead of going after and trying to criminalize, the first thing they start was handing a bag of food. And in so many cases, we have realized that it works magic. Hangry is a real thing, trust me. I've been hangry quite a lot. And it works. We have got so many testimonies from police officers who said, when we went there, because we got a 911 phone call, we went there, we saw somebody in distress, we gave them a bag of food, they sat down, they ate, and it's a different person we dealt with. So that is where, so this is by far one of my favorite programs. Then we come to the second layer of programming, which is more about empowering the community to stand up on their own feet. So they don't need to come to our Band-Aid solution programs. So one is called Startup Scarborough, where we help our community, those who have passion for anything, to start their own business. What does that mean? Like they need help in marketing. They don't even know, a lot of cases, that how do you even register our company? Is it an incorporation? Is it a sole proprietorship? Is it a partnership? There are so many jargons out there. What is the right one? Why should we do it? How much does it cost? So we have a 6-month training program. We have different categories. So somebody who has no idea, we put them through the START program where they actually learn every basics. If somebody started some homemade businesses and just need a little bit of support, maybe in accounting, maybe in marketing, we put them through support which is very one-on-one. And then grow. If somebody is actually doing a business from their home, maybe catering, maybe cooking, whatever that is. Now, how can we help them grow? How can we help them actually get to a stage when they can be fully sustainable? Then we come, this is one of our newest projects, and this is the one I was talking yesterday about. It's a food court that we just started. We have all these brands which are created by us, and where we are actually empowering new refugees. In Toronto specifically, there's a huge influx of refugees coming in, and we do not have the infrastructure to support them. Many of them are on the side of the street, and the weather is not like Bangkok. It is negative, and it's cold, it's snow. Unfortunately, in the last 2 to 3 months, we have heard many new refugees, especially coming from different parts of Africa, dying on the streets, and dying of cold. It's heartbreaking, but it's reality. So what can we do? And our system is not ready for the influx of refugees we have. So when a refugee comes in, it generally takes 3 to 4 months, 3 to 4 months to get them their SIM cards, and that makes them work, to get them eligible to work. But what do they do in the meantime? So our programs are very much based on that, and I'm going to go very fast now because I can see you standing. We have farmers market, and the farmers market, the whole reason being the farmers market is it is actually the food deserts. We have many food deserts in the community, so actually we have affordable food going into different pockets where people can get access to it. Community gardens. We have community gardens where we train our community to learn how to grow food in the Canadian context, because our soil and climate is very different. We have culinary training, different programs for seniors, youth, skills development, seniors wellness program, youth wellness program, and then we come to research and advocacy, which is kind of very key and important to us, because this is where we come up with reports like this, and I'll have it available here. Have a look. I have a couple of simpler versions for you to take home if you would like, where we actually propose policies to all levels of government with the hope that some of them will be picked up or looked into further. And this is what I was talking about, the SDGs, and how all our programs are related to the SDGs that is out there, 10 out of 17. And when you see our report on our website, you can see exactly how each program is connected to them. It's a completely different thing. But one of the SDGs, if we go back very quickly, is about partnerships. We strongly believe that we cannot have a hunger-free resilient Scarborough by ourselves. So we partner with various other charities. We created Scarborough Food Network, where we get everybody around the table, and together we make sure that we have a hunger-free resilient Scarborough. Overall, these are some of our overall heading of our programs, and I rushed it very quick.
Good job. Let's give it up to Smart. If the question can be concise and quick, because we're going to be respectful. All right. And we're going to talk about the entrepreneur stuff, and I have books to donate and a few other things that I can help out with that.
Thank you.
Wow. Just wow. This is amazing. But I just want to know, how do you get funding for all of this? Because that's probably the primary. And the other thing is, like, you can tell this is a context in Canada, because the police will not be like, distributing anything in the context of the US, right?
Yeah, so the first part of the question on funding, we have to be creative. There's no question about it. Till maybe 3 months ago or 4 months ago, I used to worry about all the funding by myself. That was kind of my role, look for funding. Corporate is a huge, huge funder. For any infrastructure, our federal government stepped up quite a bit into giving us funding to buy a truck, to build our kitchen, things like that. But our day-to-day operations, it is just that little donation from people, which goes a long way, because we were born out of the community. So community has that relationship, and even that every $10, $20, $100 adds up. Sorry, what was the second question again?
No, I just said about the police.
Oh, the police, yeah. So very quickly, so I joined the police as a community liaison committee just before the pandemic. So I had that relationship. So that really helped, because I'm a strong believer, and we advocate quite a lot, that police is there to serve and protect, to serve is before to protect. And to have those conversations, that to serve, you help in the early days to not have issues later on. There is, and I know we are out of time, but there are some programs we started with the youth and the police where we actually take at-risk youth from schools and we put them through different programs like boxing training, basketball training, career development training, because at the end of the day, that's going to keep them busy and out of trouble.
Remarkable as well. I thought about the resource issue and along those lines. Very interested to hear about the context for training and development, particularly of your employees and staff who are engaging the people who are coming to receive these supports. It requires an extraordinary paradigmatic shift to deliver services and supports that are received as supportive and that are also delivered with dignity. So how, that just doesn't happen overnight. So can you talk about the ongoing training and development of staff to make sure that they understand the culture?
So I think more than staff, my biggest thing to really focus on is the volunteers. We have over 320 volunteers volunteering every week through our programs. And that is, we have only 10 staff. So the staff is much easier. It is the volunteers, which is because everybody's coming for a different reason. No two people come for the same reason of volunteering. So we have an orientation program before even, as soon as they want to be a volunteer, they go through our orientation program. And the orientation and training kind of really talks about the dignity and the systemic change. And we keep on, I'm calling it hammering, it's not hammering, but we keep on bringing it over and over and over that this is not just, I'm here to give some money to the poor or some food to the poor, and it is not. It is their right. And we are doing the job that the government's supposed to do. So to have that conversations help a lot.
Great job. Let's give it up. All right. I know we could have kept going on and on and on, but